Welcome to the Engaging Classroom.
Making it work.
We're here to explore how educators, industry partners, and communities come together to make learning meaningful.
Each episode, we unpack real stories and strategies that keep classrooms and the people in them engaged.
Today, we're joined by someone who embodies that spirit of collaboration, Joe Waters from UL Solutions.
Joe spent over 3 decades advancing safety and sustainability in global laboratory operations while mentoring the next generation of problem solvers.
His story is a great example of how industry expertise and education can work hand in hand to build stronger learning experiences. So, Joe, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. My name is Joe Waters. I've worked for UL Solutions for almost 34 years. I am a mechanical engineer by education. Not born in Raleigh, but raised in Raleigh. Been in this area for many years. And it's a privilege to be here with Adam and Russell and just be able to tell about our experience together.
Yeah. Russell, why don't you tell us who you are?
Oh, yeah. So I'm Russell Dirgo. I am from NC State's The Friday Institute. I do a lot of professional development for computer science. I used to be a teacher. I taught for 10 years alongside Adam. And Adam, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, like Russell said, we're both former teachers. My name's Adam Davidson. I'm currently right now senior lab administrator and undergraduate lab manager for Duke's Electrical and Computer Engineering Department in the Pratt School of Engineering. But prior to that, was a teacher for 18 years or so here in the state of North Carolina in public education, mostly engineering classes. Yeah, which is where...
This is where we met.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's how we
exactly.
met.
That's right.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are now?
Sure. So I started with UL back in the early 90s, and I started off investigating the failure of products in the field.
Right.
Yeah. So, a product would come in, we'd have to figure out, was it a problem with the product itself? Was it a problem with the manufacturing? Was it a problem with the use of it?
Yeah.
A lot of great stories about some products and how consumers may or may not use them properly.
Right.
That's one of the cooler things that I felt like we got to see was some of the products that you would bring to our attention, and they would just be counterfeit products, and nobody knew that they were counterfeit.
Yes,
Yeah, it
that's
was
right.
really cool.
Whenever we certify a product, it goes out into the factories and is manufactured. We do 500,000 inspections a year
Whoa.
around the world. So our field engineers are out there doing inspections every day. If they have questions, they have to have some resource back in the office to ask questions of. So much of what I did was fire protection products, mechanical, gas and oil, hazardous location products, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then in the early 2000s, I moved into our personal protective equipment, testing, engineering, and business development role.
Tell us a little bit about what personal protective equipment is.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the Research Triangle Park office of UL Solutions is the center of excellence for personal protective equipment.
Okay.
We do it for professional use. Everything that a firefighter wears into a fire, we will test.
Sure.
And certify. So everything from the helmets, boots, gloves, the self-contained breathing apparatus, the garments, the hoods and such. We also test the fall protection harnesses that they wear.
Mm-hmm.
We also test fall protection harnesses for construction use, helmets for construction use, boots for construction use, safety glasses and such. We do some recreational personal protective equipment, and that's in the area of life jacket testing, personal flotation device testing.
Gotcha.
So we are one of 2 labs accepted by the U.S. Coast Guard for testing and certifying life jackets.
The lab right here in RTP.
Lab right here in RTP, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. So we have a test tank, and subjects come in, subjects don the devices, enter the water. We do measurements to see. And we take all sorts of everywhere from infants to very large people.
Sure.
Because we have to make sure that whoever's wearing a life jacket when they enter the water will be safe in that life jacket.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That's I remember the first time I saw the test tank. I mean, to be clear, it looks like a pool.
It looks a lot like a pool.
It looks
Yes,
like a
that's
pool.
right.
Smaller
Yeah.
and giant platform for you to jump off of.
Right.
which
It's
was
like a little diving board.
Yeah, yeah. It was one of the cooler things, or the cooler parts that our students got to see and participate with, which was really cool. It's a cool part of our engagement. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Right.
we've got some topics we want to make sure that we cover.
Sure.
Right. You want to take the first one?
Yeah, sure. So you've actually had a lot of experience working with schools in Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area, the Triangle. And so we want to talk about kind of how these partnerships have evolved. Like, how did these partnerships start with schools?
Yeah, that's a great question. So back in the late 90s, the Department of Education decided to come up with what was called Project Lead the Way.
Sure.
And this was 16 different core curriculums that were to be introduced at the high school level.
Yeah.
My understanding from that point is that the question was really asked, industry, what do you need people to know when they come to your industry?
Right.
So there's things like criminal justice, there was nursing, there was engineering, STEM, that sort of thing. I forget what all the 16 were, but
Sure.
Yeah, there was. I think by the time we left, there was biomedical and agricultural. You had computer science. Yep.
Yeah. So my boss approached me. I guess someone had approached him and said, look, we want a representative from UL Solutions to come join with other companies in the RTP area to think about what curriculums, what things would we want people to know to come into the workplace. And so companies got together, names that you would recognize that most of them I've forgotten by now. But we met regularly every 4 to 6 weeks and would have different working sessions together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And would just really kind of say what we would want. It was not our job to come up with a curriculum, thank goodness. So
it's not easy. It's
right.
So not easy. Yeah.
Right. But to come up with the material that we would want people to know.
Right.
I got a nice certificate for participating. That was nice, and just kind of forgot about it for several years.
Sure.
Until, you keep going in the history here?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I think it was 2007, I get a call out of the blue from a man I don't know from Riverside High School. Turns out he got my name and had looked on the Project Lead the Way Advisory Council and seen it and said, hey, can we get together and talk about what your experience was, and maybe there's some opportunity that we have to bring what you guys do into the classroom.
Awesome.
So, that was the first time I'd heard that the curriculum was actually taken from the conceptual stage that we'd done to the curriculum stage itself.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, it started with kind of that cold call. This guy calls you out of nowhere, and then you sat down, had lunch together, and what came of that?
Yeah, so what came of that was, hey, well, let's just come over and talk to your class sometime. And I think the old media room there at Riverside High School just did a high-level education of what is UL, what is safety. We did a focus on counterfeiting also. And about an hour-long program. Did that a couple times each semester. And then Adam, I think, when did you start?
So I started in 2007, in the fall of 2007, and I think Tim was there for about a year prior.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think you and I must have started talking maybe 2 years into the process as we were coming out. And, what Adam did was really challenged me to say, how can we make this meaningful to the kids? And I'm like, well, I'm just an engineer. I'm not a teacher. That's your job. So I think that's where we put our minds together and said, okay, we've got the technical knowledge,
Right.
and you've got the curriculum development knowledge, and let's see what we can do. So that's when we started transitioning. Instead of us coming to Riverside coming to us.
Yeah.
So,
what was really cool about that whole process is that, you experienced this when we would have meetings on like Tuesday during lunch or something like that. We'd sit around, and usually in my old classroom, and we'd discuss, what are we doing? What's the semester going to look like? Are we doing field trips? What's that going to look like? How are we doing? And you say that I challenged you to do that. I honestly think that it was a challenge that came from Tim telling me, we need a field trip for these freshmen for this design course. Yep. What are you doing? How can you make that work? And we started brainstorming a bunch of different ideas, and UL Solutions floats to the top. Yeah. And I was like, well, you know what? I mean, those guys come out here all the time. We've got a good connection with them. Let's make that work. And then we did, I think we had like lunches during the summer.
Yes.
And which was great. You guys took me to
Burger
Fi
whatever,
or something
exactly.
like that.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
We would meet somewhere off of Harrison Avenue at a Burger Fi and hammer out details for 2 hours, and just figure out what we wanted to, at least how we wanted to start. Yeah.
I really like that because this wasn't just a field trip that you were like, hey, let's just go out to UL and do a tour. You actually spent a lot of time kind of talking about what that would look like.
Well, we started with bringing me out.
Yes. So,
and seeing it first. Yeah.
Show Adam what we do, and, like a kid in a candy shop, he was just like, oh, this is great. This is great. Yeah.
I remember I took the tour, and I thought it was awesome. There was so much stuff that I didn't even realize that safety companies do. It was awesome.
Yeah. So where did it go from there?
So I would say it started off at a good place.
Yeah.
Eventually evolved in a great place. And I would say the good place was kids would come in. We'd have several of our engineers and subject matter experts telling about different parts of UL. And we'd do that for maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, have questions, and then do a tour around the facility.
Awesome.
And just give them some context and show them the different things we do.
Sure.
Electrical testing or personal protection device testing or PPE testing. We also do electromagnetic compatibility testing. I can't believe I said that in one word without one take. But anyways.
I definitely couldn't.
And which basically, if you're familiar with Star Trek, looks like a big holodeck.
Okay.
So
it really does.
And then you go in there, close the doors, and no phone service. So totally isolated from the rest of the world. So that, some of the kids were impressed with that. But, imagine these are freshmen. I mean, coming to a place that's 3 or 4 stories tall, I mean, it can be pretty intimidating. So we tried to make it and choose our staff that led the tours based on their willingness and good interaction with the students. And I think that was real positive.
You mentioned staff. You worked with a couple of different schools now, both Riverside and East Chapel Hill.
Correct.
In that time, what have you found to be the most engaging and rewarding for both the students and for the employees that have been involved?
Right. So the next evolution here was Adam said, what can we do even better than what we're doing?
Try.
So like better than the tour.
Better than the tour.
Yeah.
Better than the UL giving the presentations and talking about what we do and that sort of thing. We gave them some pre-work. And instead of us telling them about UL, they were to look online, find different things about UL.
Okay.
How many offices we have, how many locations we have, how many marks are put on products every year, and that sort of thing. So instead of us telling them, they had to go search that out.
Correct. So it was all like on their website.
That's awesome because it is, if I'm a student and I'm just listening to a bunch of people talk and tell me this thing, I'm not going to retain it. But if I have to go do the research myself, like I'm going to actually, it's going to raise a bunch of questions.
Engaging.
Right.
It's engaging.
That's what it really is.
Yep. And then usually it was about 45 to 50 students coming in each time. And we split them up into 5 different groups.
Okay.
So those groups were assigned different products to look at. a household product like a blender, a personal flotation device, fireman's jacket.
Helmet?
Sorry, helmet.
Helmet,
Yeah,
yep.
fireman's helmet. And
God, what was the other thing?
it'll come to me in a minute. Oh, sorry. I got it now.
What is it?
See, it was a cordless tool with a lithium-ion battery.
Yes, it was like a pole saw.
Yes, yeah, or a miter saw or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
something that was dangerous on one end and a battery on the other end. Yeah, so danger on both ends. Will Robinson.
Okay, we were in a lab setting.
That's right, exactly. So their job was to do research on this product.
Okay.
On their own.
Yeah.
I think they were given 6 weeks to do so.
Yeah.
And to present to us maybe another safety consideration that wasn't necessarily covered currently in the requirements.
Okay, that's interesting.
So to think like an engineer, think like a standards developer, think like a researcher, which is, really the three areas that we do.
Okay. That's awesome. I bet the students really loved that.
They did, and they would come in, they'd have to give us a presentation.
Yeah.
Every student had to speak. We said no PowerPoints.
Okay.
Though I do remember one group that came in that printed out their PowerPoint on huge pieces of paper. It was like, that was not our intent, but anyway.
Yeah.
They're crafty. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, but they did an awesome job. We're getting back to the question of how did our employees enjoy this?
Yeah.
They really enjoyed seeing how creative the students were and coming to us and the research that they did and how much they got from that research.
That's awesome.
And then what were those ideas that they came up with? And I think one of the more engaging thing was then we would give them feedback on their presentations. Now, these are freshmen in high school talking to professionals. That's pretty daunting.
That would be intimidating.
Yeah. But think about the opportunity to start off as a freshman and then continue that through your high school career, then your college. What a advance you might have. One thing I would always say is every chance that you can get to speak in front of someone, take it.
Yep.
Because it's going to be one of the most important tools in your toolbox when you grow up.
Sure. And we've talked about this last time, that when you do a presentation when you have students do a presentation, they don't know how to do that. You can't just say do a presentation. Yeah. They've never been taught it. You really need to go through it, teach it to them. Some of that work happened beforehand, I assume, Adam?
So, yeah, I don't know how much of this you guys actually knew, but we would we'd have them work in groups all the time, right? I mean, that was the whole point of that first course. And the students would get together on a Friday with their group that was going to present. So we knew within the first week we were giving out paperwork and saying, take this home. If you want to go, get this paperwork filled out. We want everybody to go.
Right.
We had it. We knew that we had 3 classes usually that were going to go, and they were capped at 20. So 60 was a lot, but we could break them down, and usually not all 60 went. And so we said we knew that we could handle, I think we said 40 to 50 or something like that, right? And we said that if you don't want to go, it's okay. We would love for you to, but get broken down into these groups. And then on Friday, even if you weren't going, you still had a part to play in all of this. And we had them practice those presentations over and over again and do the research, and they would do all that work on Fridays. We just dedicated a whole day of the week or a whole period of the week to just this work that you're going to do leading up to it, and we structured it for them. And then we did other projects as well that would help them with some of the testing concepts and coming up with that leading into the Friday, on a Thursday or a Wednesday, we'd do some work that would involve some of testing that they do on their own products at school. And then once we got them comfortable with how to run that testing, how to provide this input and this feedback and take their notes and had them on note cards, that kind of stuff, we had them give presentations repeatedly, not just the ones that they were going to give there, but they would give them as part of the course as well for some other projects. And they didn't have to dress up for those. They just had to be presentable, and they had to practice. And I would, some of them, I'd get that a lot. But I would count things like filler words, uhs and ums and stuff like that. And I wouldn't mark them off for it, but I would inform them and let them know. And I'd get the other students to provide their feedback as well, and then moderate that conversation for them, so that by the time they got to where they were presenting for you guys, they were comfortable getting feedback and having questions asked of them, and then providing an answer on the fly, or saying, I don't know, but let me get back with you about it. I need to do some more research on that, instead of just making something up.
That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that you were able to set up the students that well, so that when they did come to UL, the intimidation factor was a little bit lower for them.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. I mean, they never know when they're going to be asked to speak in front of somebody.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And it wasn't until after the presentations that I would tell them, I just want to let you know that these engineers sitting in this room are probably some of the global experts in these areas of personal flotation devices, of tools with lithium-ion batteries, of personal flotation device testing.
Yeah.
Because after the presentations, what we did was we had those students then sit at the tables with the products and with the subject matter expert, and spend about 30 or 45 minutes just talking to them about what they learned, having the engineer also telling them more information about the product. So I said, take advantage of talking to a global expert here.
That's awesome.
On this product.
So this is a lot of time. I mean, we're talking like a lot of engineers coming together to do this. And I think you've kind of talked a little bit about kind of the students' impact on your employees.
Right.
But how did UL benefit from this? Like, because this is lost labor costs for you.
Right, yeah. Yeah, what's the return on investment here? Right, exactly. That's right, yeah. I mean, because at times it would take maybe 25 staff to be involved in the subject matter expert part, to be involved in accepting the tours, leading the tours, and that sort of thing. So, 25 people away from work for a couple hours is huge. So
that's huge.
Yeah, I appreciate your acknowledging that. So our biggest message is making the world a safer place.
Sure.
So if we could touch, 50 to 60 students a semester with that message when they're young, hopefully they go home and talk to someone about it, right?
Right.
And so now we've multiplied that. So they talk about not everyone was excited, I'm sure, but, some of them went home and talked about how excited they were to go to UL. So the message spread. And other people might have said, so what is UL? Which is a question I get asked even all the time when I say where I work, right?
Full disclosure, I had no idea what UL was before I started working at Riverside. So
I still, to this day, with the students here in our ECE 110 lab, I'll flip over some sort of electronic device and I'll say, this company, you've seen it before.
Right.
And I pointed out, I have seen that mark.
And there's an estimated 125 products in your home that have the UL mark on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, it's quite amazing what you can find it on. I mean, it's on everything.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it. I mean, it's kind of this secret company in the background that just keeps us all safe.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, you've actually hired people
who
went on those tours from Riverside.
Right. So over the years, there's been, I think, an estimate about 10 engineers who have then gone on from the Riverside program to engineering school, which is a great thing about the STEM program and that engineering, which goes all the way back to this whole purpose of Project Lead the Way, right? Was to prepare these high school students to go to a college of their interest, whether it's nursing, law enforcement, criminal justice, STEM programs, and that sort of thing, graduate from those programs, and then go out to industry and be a contributing member. So we've had 10 people that have graduated from various colleges, and some are still there, some are not, but people come and go.
When I started working at Duke, we touched base again. You know, I mean, you leave,
Sure.
and I think we didn't do a lot during the pandemic, which is for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But we got back together and started talking about how can we build, you know, the relationship here and continue that kind of growth. And we went out to lunch. You know, you took me to a barbecue joint or something.
Nothing like taking
that.
a teacher out to a free lunch, right?
I was all over it.
He was all over, yeah.
Want a teacher.
And he wanted to show me labs that I'd never seen before, which blew my mind, first of all, because I felt like at this point, I think I'd been 15 times, maybe 20 to this place. We were walking down the halls, and I think there were 5, 6 people that some of them were I'm going to call them parents. You're going to call them employees, but they were parents of students. And then out of the blue, someone I didn't even know was working there that was a former student of mine walked past me in the hall, and he was like, "Mr. Davidson?" And I'm like, well, first of all, you don't have to call me that anymore.
Right. When students are adults, they're still calling us, "Oh, Mr. Davidson." That's right.
Oh, it's the best. And it was really cool to see him, you know, to see that not a kid, that grown man there.
Yeah.
As an employee. And I knew that students came and worked for you guys down the road, you know, but to see all those former, I guess they're still parents, but not parents that I associate with on the regular anymore, but to see them there as employees was great.
Yeah, because even during the pandemic, we were still building laboratories and building them out. So that's what Adam came in to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really neat. There were a lot of spaces I hadn't seen yet that I was able to set eyes on for the first time. And I was like, this is amazing. This is really cool to see.
Right.
And things that I think we probably walked by different rooms in the past that I was just like, I don't know what that is.
But with 20 kids in tow, it was kind of hard to actually, you know, stop and see it. With one person, it was easy to say, "Hey, Adam, this is what we do here, and this is that sort of thing."
Well, and once we got to the point where it was so fine-tuned, you know, it's why mess with that if it's working really well? Right. The test tank is a good example of that. I mean, those students would volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
And usually would follow through with it and jump off the different platforms.
Yeah.
Well, and I love this because when I've spoken to a few people about industry and education partnerships, and what they'll tell me is, "Oh, well, we don't really interact with the students. What we'll do is we'll bring the teachers in and we'll do like an internship with the teachers to show them the skills we want them to bring to the students." Right. But what you did was you brought the students in, you had them do presentations, you had a very engaging experience for the students. And what resulted is you actually had students come work for you. You have students who can go tell that story. You mentioned like maybe some of the kids weren't interested. I can guarantee you the majority of those kids, whether or not they showed it, were interested.
I'll trust you.
And so that message became so much more impactful. The awareness of UL Solutions was so much higher. It wasn't just a field trip. It was an experience for these students that kind of began their engineering education at Riverside.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I could tell you what a 10-meter EMC chamber looks like all day.
Sure.
But until you walk into one and see how high and how wide it is and how white it is, only because if we didn't have the white reflective surfaces, it'd be so dark in there that you couldn't see your hand in front of your face.
Oh, wow.
And then to tell them to shut the doors and turn on their phones or
try.
You know, when's the last time they didn't have service, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, every kid's nightmare.
Right. It really was. No, it really was. Those are really cool rooms to go into. And there's a couple of them there too. I mean, there's like larger ones and smaller ones.
So, doing different things. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about the relationship you have with East Chapel Hill?
Of course.
How that happened?
Yeah. So I think it must have been fall of 2019.
Yeah.
You guys came in for your so Riverside would come every twice a year.
Yeah, every semester.
Spring and fall. So fall of 2019, you and Bill knew each other. And Bill calls up and said, "Hey, do you mind if we tag along with Riverside this time? Going to bring some of our people over also, and we're just going to observe." So we got them engaged. We made sure that they were acting as participants, and Bill said, "Yeah, let's do this in the spring."
Awesome.
Of 2020. Yeah, well, that didn't happen,
happen.
obviously.
Oh, yeah, I guess that
right?
didn't
Yeah,
That did not happen.
no, it didn't happen. Bill and I kept in touch, and when I guess it was probably 2022 or something like that, maybe spring of 2022, finally we were able to say there was two things going on. We were able then to accept people coming in again,
Okay.
and he was able then to take students on field trips. You know, because as you know, during that COVID time, had to be a lot of give and take going on.
Yeah, that was a very challenging time for teachers.
Yes, I'm sure, because you're like, okay, I'm they're with me the whole time here, right?
If there wasn't red tape before,
Oh,
or there wasn't
that's right,
enough red
right.
tape
Oh my
before.
God, yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
So what we've been doing, though, is taking the learnings from Riverside, and Bill and I had several conversations, because unlike the Riverside students, which are mostly freshmen, maybe a few sophomores, the East Chapel Hill High School were mostly seniors and some juniors.
Okay.
So they'd been through most of the curriculums already. They were advanced. They were ready. They were doing some pretty advanced things. And we said, instead of us giving you the product and you doing the presentations, which for the freshmen's great,
Yeah.
we want you to design and build a product.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
So the favorite thing, the ones that we do all the time, is build and test a life jacket.
Okay.
What?
So exactly, right. So we've got the test tank. We've got the ability to actually have the students jump in.
Sure.
So they would break up into groups of 5, and I think we'd get 45, and we'd have 9 groups, and we could bring them through 3 groups at a time. So we gave them the parameters. We gave them some of the considerations. We also gave them another product. One was see if you could make a hard hat safer.
Okay.
Turns out that they couldn't. The hard hat as itself was actually safer than adding more foam to it and that sort of thing.
Right.
Which was interesting. We also had them say, okay, make me an enclosure for a cell phone that's waterproof when put in at 5 feet.
We just put it in a
just
Ziploc bag.
Just using duct tape and cardboard, though. Yes.
Oh, wow.
You're right. A Ziploc bag would have, but they were given certain design parameters.
Sure.
And they're also given a budget. So there's a bit of groupthink going on here. So when you walk into the store and you see what floats the best in here, it's usually those pool noodles,
Right.
which are great because they're closed cell foam. You know, you use them for pool recreation, that sort of thing. But the way that the students would then take some webbing, take some duct tape, maybe even put some 2-liter plastic bottles on them for additional flotation, and make a device. A lot of them looked like a jacket. Some of them had a little too much doodads on them. It would, but then would ask them, so how do you think it's going to perform? Because the day before they came, a couple of us would actually go over to East Chapel Hill High School and talk to the students in their final design as they're writing up their design. So we would
That's awesome.
kind of get an idea.
Which ones are going to work?
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay. I'm not judging here, but I can kind of tell who's first and who's
Right.
not.
You know, that right before I left at Riverside, I was teaching a course called Engineering Design and Development. And I think I had you sit in on some of their presentations. I don't know if you remember that. We did it through Zoom.
So,
Yeah. And that would have been, I mean, the only time that class I think was ever taught at Riverside was through Zoom. Like it was all online because it was during the pandemic.
That's right. I remember you started off and you were very ambitious. you had all of these plans set up and then
we got canceled.
got canceled.
Or not, well, closed. And you know, to the students' credit, they really, those kids pulled it off. Like they did a really good job. Yeah. Some were better products than others, but that would have been an amazing thing to do with them there. It was something like that. Yeah. And it would have closed the loop for them going as freshmen and then coming back as seniors. That would have been really cool to see something like that. So the students loved it.
So the students loved it. The students would come in on the day of the visit and they'd have one person designated to don the device and we would run it through the test program, We would have them jump off the 1 meter board into the water
Okay.
to make sure that the device stayed on. A lot of times they did, sometimes they didn't. And then we would have them come to the side. We'd do what's called freeboard measurement, which is the distance of the mouth, the corner of the mouth out of the water to simulate respiration and
It's a
wave
really cool
action.
looking device. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd have them do jumping jacks to simulate, moving in the water and the device moving on them. And then we'd do the freeboard test again. And so we would have, like they were taking data on the device that they designed.
That's incredible.
And then our testing staff would do a secret ballot and then judge. Then Bill had took one of the old East Chapel Hill High School swimming trophies,
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
made a little life jacket for it,
Oh, wow.
And-
Oh, wow.
and gave the team a trophy. So the team had a trophy
That's so
for the best.
I have to see that. I have to
Yeah.
ask him about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'd be hauling the thing around, and then that was given to the team that had the best, as voted by our staff there.
So do they still come out?
They do, yes. So they were out last spring.
Okay.
Yeah. Haven't talked to Bill yet about this spring, but that's probably coming up.
Yeah, that's really cool.
This has been a long progression this
It has.
time. You said you started back in 2006, 2007?
Only 2007, 2008 was our first, going to Riverside
with
and
us.
Okay.
doing
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So what do you wish you had known at the start of this that you now know?
That's a great question. Yeah. I think the most important thing that I know now is the more that you get the students to do things on their own and to be engaged, to push a button, to be able to, push a button on the safety glass tester so that they can experience what that's like,
Yeah.
that they can jump in the water themselves, that they can have some sort of control over it. That's going to be more engaging.
That's awesome.
It really is.
To be able to turn their cell phone on and off and that sort of thing.
It's so much better than just sitting in a classroom
Yeah.
in
Oh,
straight
yeah.
rows,
Yep.
reading stuff off a whiteboard.
Or like a PowerPoint,
Yeah.
just you see the picture on the PowerPoint.
And nothing wrong with that, but not as engaging.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's why I appreciate Adam and Bill and others saying, hey, when you think of the learning pyramid, this is the top by having them do something
Yeah.
instead of just hear something.
RBT, Revised Bloom's taxonomy.
Yes.
Yep, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yep. I've the number of times I've referenced that to just, and it's very useful. I mean, when the students really do get to touch and hold and experience,
And
push
do.
the button on that tester,
Or create something, create a
create,
life
Yeah,
jacket, and then
exactly.
test it out,
analyze how it goes.
analyze it.
I think we're
Absolutely.
using all the terms that are falling into that.
That's right,
RBT.
that's right.
Define what it is that they're supposed to do.
And to learn about something because, they learned that if I put all the buoyancy on the back, I'm going to be like a turtle. If I put it all on the front, I'm gonna really float, but my head's going to be in a position where maybe I can't breathe as well.
Right.
So there's got to be that balance. So what's the buoyancy? How's the human body work in this situation? That's a science of its own, which would probably be a fascinating thing for maybe some class eventually to do.
Yeah.
It would be. So all of this has gone down. You're still working with East Chapel Hill. You worked with us for many, many years. I brought my boss at the time from Duke over to come see you, and we hooked you up with Ann Satterback from First Year Design. Tell us how that went down and what you guys do with the first year design people at Duke.
Right. When I heard from Dr. Satterback that we bring freshmen in and their very first semester, they are doing an engineering design project. First of all, I was floored because I remember my first semester in college. You're so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Just getting used, just finding, where's the classroom I'm supposed to be at. I mean, I still have nightmares that, it's the first day of class and I don't have my schedule. I don't know where I'm going. So,
Right?
40 plus years later.
Well, so you were talking about the design projects for high school freshmen. How did it change for college students?
So I think how it changed for college students was, it's interesting because we're coming to them and pitching our ideas for what we want them to work on.
Oh, okay.
And so we're kind of auditioning our products and trying to say, my product at UL is more interesting than this guy from another company coming in. And so the students are making selections.
I've been involved with the first year design program, but from, I forget what they're calling us now, project advisors, I think is what we're called. What I've never seen, though, is what it's like on the client day where they're meeting with the client and seeing them.
Okay.
Have you been involved in that, or is that someone else at UL Solutions that does that?
So I'm trying to figure out what the projects are at UL Solutions and trying to get the people who own the projects to come together. So again, that's also my job, is to say, yes, we could have them come in and here do this, but one, they're freshmen. They have a very limited budget. They only got 15 weeks to do it in, if that.
Right.
Probably more like 12 by the time they select it and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we understand what the scope is, and we understand we may not get a completed project, but we may get an idea that then we can bring back to our own developers and support team to continue on.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's really been fascinating to see. I mean, I look back and I say, boy, I don't think I could be an engineer now, given the level of understanding that these students now have of computers, robotics, automation, programming, and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, my freshman year at State, you could tell a freshman because we had our drafting board and our red bag with our drafting tools in it and our T-square. So, showing my age, but that's that was a level of technology that we had.
I mean, that's what I saw kids at Riverside carrying around the drafting stuff.
Yes,
so.
because they had an old guy trying to teach them stuff. For years, I stuck with the hand drawing that we had to do for that design course, and I did it probably for 3 or 4 years beyond what PLTW required. Like, it was part of their curriculum. I mean, required is a loose term here, but what they said, this is part of the curriculum. You should. They got rid of that, and I was like, these students are all going to learn how to draw.
I remember the students coming and working on drawing their highlighter.
Yeah.
In my class, and they had to get all the shading correct, and
And there's a whole video on how to do it. I would take a document camera and record myself in a class drawing it, and it was so long that I had to break it into 2 parts that were 45 minutes. And those kids watch them. You go back and you look at it. They on those video view counts, they watched that entire video throughout, both of them. And I could just picture them at home just, oh my God, I've got to do 5 of these, 10 of these. I messed this one up. I got to do it again, but he doesn't want me to erase anything.
Kids will be like, I didn't come here to art school. I came to engineering.
Engineering design. It was important.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've covered a little bit about your history.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that history involving how you got started with a school like Riverside.
Right.
And how there was a cold call that was made, but that was made because they had access to a list.
Yes.
And I think in talking to him, we've figured out that list came from a lady that used to work here, because this is where we got our training for Project Lead way back in the day. At Duke. Thank you. I keep saying here. We are at Duke.
The blue walls kind of give it away.
Yeah. The blue walls really give it away.
I got my State red shirt on.
Yeah, no,
sorry.
Totally okay.
It's totally okay.
Because the other half of it is NC State, and that is also my alma mater. So anyway, so I think that's how that happened. That was the cold call made because you were on a list that was created. You'd worked with the superintendent of schools at the time, June Atkinson.
Yeah, June Atkinson. Yeah.
And that's kind of how that initial list was made. And then he found that list, cold called you, got you to come over and talk with him, had a lunch,
right.
Met a bunch of people over at UL, brought you over to the school first.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that we've harped on in the last podcast episode was that it's important to make that initial contact. And then test the waters and see, does this relationship work? And the easiest way to do that is to bring the people to you as the educator. But what I'm curious about is, what is easier from the industry perspective, from the professional perspective? Is it easier to go to the school, or is it easier for the school to come to you?
Yeah, that's a good question, because after we had done the Riverside High School for several years, we actually sought out to maybe do this with some other STEM schools.
Yeah.
And I think our problem is we don't know how to identify them, because we'd look and we'd say, okay, they're STEM-ish, they're,
Right.
you know,
Right.
or they Project Lead the Way.
Right.
How close are they? How far are they from Riverside?
Yeah.
And that's why it was important for the introduction to East Chapel Hill High School to be made through Adam, because they had that connection and knew that they were very similar
Sure.
in what they did. We as an industry are not necessarily going to, some industries certainly have that outreach, but having the schools really define what would we like from industry. Because I could say to you, hey, I've got this thing that we do at UL, and we could come and partner with you, but trying to find the right person to talk to,
Right.
be the right person at the right time, see someone who's got a budget to do it and such.
And willingness.
And
interest.
willingness to
Yeah.
sit down and talk. So I think what really helped was having some sort of connection also. And then, knowing that UL was involved here. I mean, Tim probably just took a chance because there were a lot of names and companies on that list.
Right.
I don't know how many he reached out to, but
Yeah, I don't either. That'd be interesting to find out.
I guess I'm the first one that either on the first one he contacted or on the first one that said, yeah, let's do something.
If it was an alphabetized list.
We were at the bottom. Exactly. Whether it was Underwriters, UL, or whether it was Waters, we're at the bottom of the list.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a crazy long road. We're at almost an hour.
Yep. Almost an hour.
What are, in your opinion here, Russ, because I did this last time, so I'm going to make you do it this time. What are the key takeaways?
The key takeaways. I think the key takeaways for a teacher are it starts with a cold call. And if it was an alphabetized list, don't give up after the first call. It may be that you have to make a ton of calls before that partnership actually happens.
Yeah.
Survey your parents. See who works where. See if there are field trips or industry that you could partner with. And this takes time. This is not something, you are not going to get that perfect golden field trip or experience for the students the first time.
Yeah.
Start small, start with something that's achievable for both you and the partner. And if it works, build from there. And keep building, keep iterating over the years, and keep that partnership going. And enjoy the free lunch.
Yeah, exactly. And I think make sure that it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
Sit down with the industry partner and say, what do you think you can get out of this from you? And make sure as a school that you understand what you're going to get out of it. And because otherwise, it's just going to be a one-sided thing that
Right.
probably won't be as long-lasting as this relationship has been.
And as impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, help it to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
What else can we do? Keep asking that question.
That's great.
And the number of times I've heard him ask that question.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
What else can we do?
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And give
Yeah.
give the students pizza for lunch, of course, too.
I mean,
I saved that for the very end.
and I just did a field trip yesterday, and that is exactly what we fed them was pizza.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
loved it. They 100%. Because it's also not the same pizza that they're getting at whatever school they're at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's right. We won't name it, but
Yeah, no,
it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you have any final thoughts beyond those?
No, it's just been a pleasure to sit down with you guys and be able to do this.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
Who knows what the future will bring. And, at some point, I'm looking to probably pass this on to others
Right.
at some point, and it may change, probably will change.
Sure.
But I think the important thing is that we've established something here that I think can be replicated in other areas through, like you said, Russ, the conversations, the mutual understanding. What can we get out of it? What can we give? And that sort of thing.
I can't even count almost 20 years now that we've had a partnership, a relationship with each other, and it has been truly amazing and eye-opening and just reassuring as I moved through every step that there was a company out there that wanted to work with us, and there were numerous others that we did work with, but nothing quite as good as UL Solutions did.
Well, thank you.
So thank you very
Glad to
much.
hear it.
Thank you so much, Joe,
You're
for
welcome.
coming and talking to us and sharing the experience. Thank you, UL Solutions, for allowing you to come down and talk to us.
And thanks to Duke for letting us use the podcast studio again and helping us be able to support this crazy endeavor that we've taken on doing.
Thank you, Friday Institute, for allowing us to publish the blog, kind of talking about this podcast, the work that we're doing here.
So thanks for joining us on this podcast, and we hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again in the future. We hope to close this loop even further with some other people in the near future episodes.
All right.
Thank you very much.